This episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by Actionable Insights. Actionable Insights is the restoration industry's leading educational nonprofit, helping contractors and carriers settle claims on the daily. Go to getinsights.org. Hey there. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Restoration Today podcast. I am your host, Michelle Blevins, and today I am very excited to be joined by the CEO of First Onsite, Stacy Mazur, and his Senior Vice President of Culture and Experience, Jenny Vandehey. Jenny brings 15 years of brand and strategy consulting experience, and she has helped global brands and Fortune 500 companies navigate the complexities of M&A, rebrands, and cultural shaping. So the last time Stacy and I spoke on a different podcast was back in March of this year, right around the time when First Onsite merged with a bunch of other companies and became this big brand. And at the time, Stacy spoke about the goal of First Onsite becoming this billion-dollar restoration brand. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the growth of First Onsite, as well as the culture and what it looks like to have this many different locations of one company across the US, but have a cohesive, vibrant, healthy culture. So for starters here, Stacy, how is it going becoming a billion-dollar brand?
We're marching right along. Part of our strategy has just been to grow organically and continue to add great partners and acquisition targets to the team. We'll have some more great news coming down the pipe here probably this week, and another one probably in the next couple of weeks as we continue to, get more of that white space and get more locations out there to service our clients and stuff. So well on our way, hopefully we'll get to that $1 billion mark here in the next year to 18 months, but we're well on track. So thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I know that I've heard from a lot of companies who have come into the First Onsite family here, and the culture across the companies, I haven't heard a single bad word at all from any of the companies. I was at the RIA show and there were some companies there that are involved now, and other shows that I've been at, and even companies that I know have been maybe even approached by you. Everybody has just been super impressed by what they've heard. So I guess, Jenny, can you speak a little bit to how you are managing to build a healthy culture across this many locations across the country?
Yeah, I think part of this starts back when we're looking at targets and really, understanding what their values are, realizing that that's such an important part of integrating and bringing people in. I think by looking at that early on, we know that that the companies joining the family, share values with us. And I think that continues to be a big focus as we onboard them into the organization. So, I think it's important to acknowledge that we are sort of in the infancy stage of shaping culture. We've all been, many, many different cultures. But I think what we're seeing is that we're definitely more alike than people may realize initially. And just getting to have that FaceTime, getting to connect, meet people, that's where relationships build and trust is established and people start to really feel a sense of belonging, which I think is something that we all want as human beings, right?
Yep. Okay. So this is a little bit of a question for both of you. And Jenny, you touched on it a little bit with culture, but what are some of the criteria that you look for when you approach a company to join First Onsite?
Yeah, I think, our main priority when we're going out after these acquisitions and looking for those target type companies, we're really focused on finding the companies that are operationally the best in the business. That's probably been our biggest, factor over the last several years. And, we want those companies that are the best operators. And we believe if you bring the best operators in, I think that's a little bit about our structure and being owned by First Service. We're a long-term play where, there's a lot of activity going on in our industry. It's private equity based, the rest of the industry. And, those are quick 3 to 5 year, turns on that money. So, they got to build quick. And, sometimes they're just looking to add revenue and not necessarily the best operator. So, we're not just about buying companies or, having a dot on the map. It's about really looking at those best operators, who's a good fit for our culture and who really wants to be in this for the long run and build the next generation of restoration folks out there.
Okay. Jenny, you have anything you want to add to that? What kind of influence do you have when a new company comes on board with culture? Do you have meetings with their team? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think, right off the bat and even leading up to the day that they officially join, there's a lot of conversation and meeting people, going out, meeting in person. Of course, that's easier. That's starting to become easier now, but has been a little bit of a challenge in the past year. But I think just being able to have real conversations, and make people feel like they can ask questions. That has been a really important part of our process. I think from day one on, the way we approach integration is very hands-on, high touch. Getting on the phone weekly with kind of the full team across all the different functions, just so that we're all talking and we're all asking questions and people feel like they're supported along the way.
Okay. So these companies that you're purchasing, what do the internal changes look like there as far as like software and processes and stuff like that? Are they all learning the First Onsite process? Are they all adopting First Onsite best practices, software, all of that? Are they keeping some of their own? What does that look like? That can be for either of you.
Yeah, and I'll jump in first and I'll let, kind of Jenny answer, the back half of this question. But really on the front end, I mean, we try to be as transparent as we can. A lot of these organizations that we're talking to are family run, owner operator. It's a pretty tight knit family at these organizations. And anytime you're acquiring something like that, and the day it's announced, it's, in everybody's head, it's, oh, what's going to change? What's going on? And, a lot of it is just kind of back office stuff. It's a lot of, hey, yeah, maybe how you do your expense reports, maybe how accounting gets done, maybe how you job cost. But really, I mean, we're leaving these companies to kind of run operation as they did, beforehand. They just have a bigger support structure. And being part of a publicly traded organization, we have certain compliance and processes and systems that we got to follow. But, we really try to, be as transparent as we can prior to close. But, there's still a lot of change on the back end. And I'll let, Jenny cover a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think those are some of the earliest kind of growing pains that are felt just because it is change, right? And there are some changes along the way. But I think one thing that's been really important is that we do look across the organization for best practices. And I like to call it borrowing with pride. Where can we do that? Where can we learn where there might be a better way? I don't think it's ever assumed that there is one right way. And I think that's part of these weekly conversations with the extended teams is really understanding some of those things that we're now bringing in, because we can build on that. And I think that's true whether it's technology and back end, culture, traditions, fun things that happen across the organization. I think everyone is really open and eager to learn and not just assume that it's just going to be one way moving forward.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk about fun things a little bit, because I think even just last week there were some cocktail receptions or some meet and greets at some different locations. So what are some of the fun things that happen across the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think today a lot of it, I do believe that culture comes to life on the local level, right? And just because I'm here, trying to shape culture doesn't mean that there's only going to be one way to do that moving forward. I think that's probably a common fear, but local relationships, the local culture, that's where the magic happens, and that's not going to change. And I think it's actually such a cool thing that now when we get to travel to our different locations, we as team members get to experience some of that local magic. So part of it is really owning that and not trying to force fit or have a cookie cutter First Onsite way, but really celebrate that diversity, that local nuance. So I think a lot of these fun activities will look different location to location. I know next week here in Colorado, we're having kind of a client open house, and really looking forward to that. And similar things are happening across the organization. I think where we start to look at some First Onsite types of cultural activities, it's really thinking through what are those. There's interpersonal moments and institutional moments. What are those institutional moments that might become traditions, that might become annual events? We're not there yet. I'm in the midst of a listening tour just to listen right now, to listen to all of our people across US and Canada to understand, what do people value? What gives them a sense of belonging? What do they hope to carry forward from, a culture that maybe they came from? That's where we have to start, so that we can then come up with some of these bigger First Onsite moments that really resonate and feel true to our people.
I love it. Amazing. Wonderful answer. I could see Stacy over there smiling and nodding as well. I love it. Okay. So Stacy, you were talking a little bit about the M&A landscape in the industry right now, and private equity having a big role in buying up companies or gaining stock in companies. So how is becoming part of the First Onsite brand helping these restoration companies in this M&A landscape stay viable, stay vibrant and competitive in their marketplace, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think, our distinct advantage is that long-term outlook, right? First Service, owns some of the, best brands in the business, and they're in it for the long haul. So you're not going to have a new owner in 3 to 4 to 5 years, with the change of that. And, we're really here to grow. We're here to keep our families and our partners intact. It's a growth story. We're in it for the long term, and that allows us to invest in the long term and not that short-sighted view. And I think when we're out there talking to organizations, they understand that. They've heard some of the horror stories that's happened with private equity in our industry, and we just continue to push that long view. We're spending a lot of time, energy, and money going through a rebrand. We're building a whole new operating platform that should put us light years ahead of the industry here in the near future, launching that next year. So it's really about the long-term focus, bringing you in as part of the family. Really, what's going to make or break us as an organization is really at that branch level, that location level, having them as a team and as a family, and really driving, the boots on the ground. We understand that, we might have the best technology at a corporate level and be able to handle the largest accounts in the world. But it's really a ground game every day, and boots on the ground, and those folks responding to the loss. And you really got to kind of marry those two to make sure you can do both, because, the insurance companies are looking for a single source. Largest, companies in the world are looking for that single source, but you still got to go to the job site in a market and respond quickly. And that's where the boots on the ground game comes from. And that's what our partner understands. And that's really where we're headed as an organization.
Okay. All right. So I don't think it's any secret that one of the biggest challenges in the industry right now, and across the trades in general, is hiring and retention and finding talent. So how is First Onsite trying to help overcome that major issue in today's world?
Yeah, I think it's a similar approach for us. When we're in the hiring process, we're pitching that long-term view, right? Come on, be a part of our team. Being part of a larger organization, we could, put a career path together for them, and really selling our culture, our history, our team, and being a part of that. And, and everybody, I think, in the industry pitches their team or their people or their equipment. But it's really coming in and really being a part of that culture and living what you say every day, which is tough. And, here we are, we've gone from, we're 2,300 employees across 90 branches now. I used to know everybody probably 10 years ago in the company. I don't know everybody today like I used to, but it's really that family at the local level, being part of a bigger family and culture. And you just got to live what you say. And I think people, with COVID environment, people are learning to work remote. It's a different culture, and be happy, and kind of that work-life balance, which is tough in the restoration space, because you can be called anytime, any day, and you have to go. And we really respect that. We really encourage it, and we're doing our best to live our core values.
Awesome.
I agree with everything Stacy said. And, part of my job is helping us become one of the best places to work, not just in restoration, but in North America. And, that's obviously a pretty big task, but it's exciting. But that's the kind of thing that really excites me, because it is about really figuring out what drives our people, and becoming a workplace, continuing to be a workplace that, is one that they're proud to be part of, where they feel like there's a sense of belonging, and that they understand how their role fits into that bigger purpose. And so, I think something that we continue to really focus on is how do we not just listen to people in an office environment, but really get out in the field and understand the needs from all of our people, especially those who are the core of what we do. And Stacy mentioned career pathing, making sure that that's part of what it's like to work here, no matter what level you're at, that you see how you fit into the future here as well. So lots of exciting things in the works there, but that's a very important goal that, that we're focusing on quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Before we wrap it up here, I'm curious if each of you could share, because you're kind of in different areas of the company, something that you're both really proud of First Onsite from 2021 so far.
Well, I mean, we're knocking it out of the park, from a financial standpoint. So that's always good when you're sitting in my shoes. We've had a great first half of the year. We're really getting a lot of progress on a lot of our internal projects that we're working on. We were able to launch our brand in March. I know the last time we spoke, we were supposed to do it last year, and COVID, this little thing called COVID kind of got in the way. And some of those events that you're seeing now that have popped up are really just part of our brand launch. That based on it's different everywhere you go in this country. I'm out in the West Coast next week, and it's a little bit more back to old shutdown type style. So, as markets open, we're able to kind of do a true brand launch with our families and our clients and our friends. And that's what I'm really proud of. We've knocked it out of the park the first half of the year. We're on a good trajectory for the second half of the year. And we launched our brand, and we're coming together as a team, and we still got a few big projects ahead of us, but everything's on track and looking good. So.
Yeah, I mean, certainly brand launch was a big accomplishment this year, but I think even more important is everything that happens after that, right? And I'm really proud to be at a company that invests in what happens after launch, right? What happens after day one? Let's invest in making sure our values are something that come to life day to day, and let's measure it, and let's hold ourselves accountable to these words on the wall. That's really exciting, and I think as an organization, I'm just proud of how people have really leaned into this brand and everything it can mean. And it's change can be really scary, and especially in the last year, I think I've just seen so much resilience and people coming together and people wanting to sort of help shape all the opportunities that lie ahead. So that's something I'm just proud to get to be a part of.
Okay. All right. And tell me a little bit about your sign behind you. I'm curious. It says empathy. I can't read what the top of it says, but I'm curious what that's for. It's cool.
This is so part of our launch and part of our kind of ongoing efforts is we talk a lot about human power. And, that really goes back to believing that what sets us apart is our people. And you can have scale and humanity coexist. And I think that's really what First Onsite is all about. And we celebrate our human power by really highlighting those unique things that we each bring. We all have unique backgrounds outside of our restoration skills. And we invite that. We want to hear about that, whether that's a trait like empathy, which is one of mine, or, the fact that someone has a totally different kind of side gig that, they kind of talk about it and bring. I think that's what makes this a great place to work. That's what makes our people so interesting and passionate. And so we celebrate that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because I think a lot of organizations always focus on their weaknesses, right? And always trying to correct those. And we're big believers in finding out what everybody's gift is, or human power is, and really working on that, because we feel that if you can build off your strengths, we all have different strengths in our lives and what we do well. And when you put all those strengths together, you can really do great things. And I think that's really our core of what we are is. We got a lot of different human power out there, and you put those human powers and those strengths together, and you can really do some great things as an organization. And that's really what we do differently than most companies.
This is great. Okay. Jenny, I am so glad that you were able to join us and join the conversation. And
yeah, thanks so much for having me. This has been great.
So anything else that either of you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, it's just been a great year. We look forward to continuing to build. You'll hear some great news coming out over the next couple of weeks as we continue on our march forward to being the best restoration company in North America.
Okay. Jenny, anything else you want to add?
No, I would just add that, we're really just getting started. Nothing's slowing down here. And I think that's the pace that our people enjoy. And that's part of what we're passionate about. So lots more to come.
Awesome. Thank you both very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Michelle.
Perfect. Thank you.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.